Hey, welcome everybody to Kirby Connect. This week, we're excited as we walk through the Word of the Lord.
Yes.
It is Emery Sears
Hey.
and Don Myers.
Yep.
And what we do is just whoever is in pocket and available leads
Yeah.
our podcast for the week, because
Absolutely.
all of us are walking through it, all the pastoral staff, so many of you guys in our Kirby body,
Yeah.
in our church, we're walking through this. And so it's just, we're going to hit it, whoever's here, and it happens to be
We're
Emery and I
committed
again.
to make
So
sure it happens no matter what configuration
Yes.
it may be at the moment.
So we're just wrapped up. The past week here has been beautifully crazy at church and very full. And one of the biggest things happening in our area is the Monroe County Fair just ended. And it was absolutely incredible. It's wonderful.
Sight to see.
I had a chance to go over, Ron and Kristen and Kevich, their kids, were entering all kinds of stuff at the fair.
That is so exciting.
Stuff being livestock and sheep. And I got to go see Izzy and Chloe's little sheep and took a little picture with them. And
That is awesome.
They're beautiful and just so proud of it. But Monroe County Fair is a big deal. We've got demolition derbies. We've got one of the favorite things I go to down there is the Combine Demolition Derby.
That's hysterical.
Yes. This is Don Myers,
see that?
as rural as it gets for Don Myers, but the Combine Demolition Derby is not to be missed.
No.
So in 2024, I invite you guys to go watch that. It is a thing of beauty, and it's absolutely wonderful. I've taken Austin when he was a little kid down to the monster truck down there, but
that is awesome.
you can spend some money, you can drop some coin
You
at
can.
the
Yeah, you can.
But I'm just wondering, the question for us this morning is, as a kid, what was the favorite fair/amusement park you went to, Emery Sears? What was it? Take me there.
So it's no longer there, but way back in the day, way back in the day,
when horses pulled buggies.
Oh yeah, just short of that. I think the first car was just invented. And in Nashville, the Grand Ole Opry used to not be at the Ryman Auditorium. It was outside of town, and next to the Grand Ole Opry was an amusement park. So my family and one of my girl cousins went with us, and we went to the amusement park and the Grand Ole Opry that day. And it is the only time in my life in which I remember actually riding roller coasters. And it seems so foreign to me, but I did. I rode like everything they had.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was just this random thing, and it's not there anymore.
That's awesome. My parents, that is beautiful. My parents gave me a wonderful upbringing, and we were big into vacations. We always did a huge family vacation every year, but we were from let's just say my parents blessed us and worked very hard, but we were from humble beginnings.
Okay.
Humble
I
beginnings.
Like that.
That's where
producing some awesome people.
Yes, this was where the Myers family was back in Missouri, southeast Missouri, Fredericktown, Missouri, and we had this huge trip that we planned to Branson, Missouri.
Oh man.
And we went to Silver Dollar City.
Oh, yeah.
As a kid, we talked it up. We looked at the AAA triptych. And yes, the triptych, that's for,
remember it well.
Back in the day, you could not get on the internet. There was no internet to get on, but there was a triptych where I could dream about all the things that an area held for entertainment, amusement, and Silver Dollar City was there. So we got into Silver Dollar City. We had a great vacation in Branson. We go into Silver Dollar City. We literally get about 100 feet through the gate, and my parents are like, kids, we need to have a family meeting.
Really?
So we huddle up, and they're like, we don't think we have enough money to get home. There were not credit cards back in that day, but Silver Dollar City was more expensive.
Welcome to Branson. You now live here.
It was more expensive than the Monroe County Fair, even. And so my parents were like, we have to make a decision here. We can't do anything else for the week. We have to eat really tight, and we have enough money to get home with gas money. Or we could go back through, ask them to give us our money back and not go to this amusement park and have a fun day, spend about maybe 2/3 of the money it cost us to get into this park, and still be able to eat, decent and have gas money to get home. So we all kind of did a family, caucus, and we're like, okay, and that feeling when you're walking into the amusement park, you're like, what am I about to experience? What lies beyond these gates?
Oh, man.
And I didn't get to find out.
It's the John Candy movie where Wally World is closed.
Yes. But it was only closed to us.
Selectively closed.
But Mom and Dad, thank you. You guys were amazing parents. And it did not scar us.
No.
We did realize you just can't have everything in life. There's and you do, sometimes you get to a spot and you just got to call everyone together and we got to punt and we got to redirect and make some new plans, and that's exactly what we did.
And I think you appreciate things more in life when we have to make choices. But everyone, Branson is the hillbilly mecca.
Yes.
You are a hillbilly.
I am.
Once in your life.
And I got kicked out.
I couldn't
even make it. I couldn't even make that.
Oh, man.
Well, let's jump into where we are today. We are August 6th through 12, and man, we are still in the middle of this warning that is coming over and over. Jeremiah's persecuted for preaching God's truth. Mm-hmm. The children of Israel and Judah are just full of idolatry, paganism, far from God. Warnings of God's judgment coming over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, it gives a feeling of being, if there's such a thing, past the point of no return. Like they're just like,
maybe as a bystander, you would look at them and think, I think they've gone to this point.
Yeah, like they're incorrigible.
Wow.
Like God is speaking to them, and they're like, okay, it's going to happen any second now. We don't care. We don't care. We're going for it. Yeah, you know what I thought was one of the amazing things is the benefit of reading the chronological Bible is you get to see that while Jeremiah is doing all this, in like my own mind, I'm like, Jeremiah is the only guy there that's following God even in the most remote way, unless there are some parallel prophets that are doing that. But then we find out, because of the chronological Bible, that this is the time of Daniel.
Yes.
This is a time of a guy, not only a guy, 4 guys.
Yes. So Jeremiah's not alone.
He's not.
Someone else is standing.
Yeah, these 4 guys have incredible integrity with God because they stick to it once what has been said is going to happen, happens. The first wave of captivity happens. In this wave, they put a siege against the city, so they come in and they take select people, the best and the brightest is what they take, and they leave the rest of them there. Daniel is one of the best and the brightest, so he gets taken to Babylon in captivity for the purpose of being eventually a counselor to Nebuchadnezzar. Now, there's a point in this that I just think is so for today. In our culture. And that is, so the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar, had a formula for what they did when they captured people. When you think of someone capturing someone and taking them into exile, you think that they're going to get thrown into a prison, that they're going to get executed.
Not taken care of, forgotten.
No, they're going to be taken care of well. So that's the opposite of the Babylonian plan.
Yes.
The Babylonian plan is that we're going to feed you the best stuff, we're going to educate you, we're going to equip you, you are going to experience the best that the world has to offer. And with that, there's the acceptance that you are going to follow our gods, and you're basically going to treat the emperor, you're going to treat Nebuchadnezzar like a deity himself. Eventually, there's a statue. And how I think that relates to our culture today is this. The culture around us has a lot of things that are very worldly appealing to us, and that the culture lulls us every day to become more and more and more like that, like the culture around us. But with that also goes the fact that God has to come off of the throne in order to fully embrace the culture, because the culture doesn't worship our God the way Nebuchadnezzar's culture did not worship Daniel's God, and the two come together. So Daniel serves as a great example of resistance without being ridiculous. You never hear Daniel talking about his rights. You never hear Daniel talking about Nebuchadnezzar's an idiot and all these kind of things. No, you hear a guy that is squarely, foundationally solid in God, who says, here's what I'm willing to do, here's what I'm willing to not do.
Absolutely. In Daniel 1:8-20, you see that he is a man filled with integrity.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is absolutely filled with integrity, and that's his testimony. It's not that he rails against Nebuchadnezzar, but he's filled with integrity. And all this is happening in the face of Jeremiah's complaint, which is a little bit Job-like. We had talked
very
about,
much so,
where he's just like, God. It's kind of what Emery's saying. In the middle of our evil culture, when are you going to show up?
Right.
Why
do you let this go on?
Yes, why? And I think that is even more parallels for our day. But you find Daniel, and then you find his three comrades.
Yeah.
Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, who they were renamed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
I love that you did that. I love that you did that because oftentimes I think we call them by what their names were changed to. Okay, but often, unless you look it up, you don't have the benefit of knowing that their names were changed to things that relate to pagan gods. So every day that the three of them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were called those names, it was insulting to them. It was defiling to them to be called that. It's not their Hebrew names. It's and oddly enough, I don't know why Scripture really doesn't call Daniel Belshazzar. It calls him Daniel, but it calls the other three by the names that they got changed to, which were not names that they liked.
Absolutely. So Nebuchadnezzar has this crazy dream, and he has this unreal expectation that he places on his astrologers, on his soothsayers, on his on the wise men that he goes to for counsel that are evil. He goes to them and he says to them, literally, I am so troubled by this dream, but the test that I give to you is tell me what I dreamed and tell me what it means. And these guys all are like, King Nebuchadnezzar, nobody is able to do such a thing. Nobody can do what you're asking to be done. And so in this enters Daniel.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, some great stuff. First of all, the astrologers say no one except the gods can do that. Wow, Daniel is just such a hero at this point. So when he does, like the edict is put down that they're going to kill all the astrologers. And by the way, Daniel and his guys, they're seen as astrologers in Nebuchadnezzar's eyes. They're not seen as something different than that. So when they find out about it, he's like, well, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Why is the king doing that? He finds out, and then they go and pray, and they say, we can do this. But what I love about this is that Daniel takes none of the credit and gives all of the glory to God.
He gives it to God. He clearly gives it to God.
He does.
Yes.
Like basically his paraphrase would be, I can't do this either, but my God can. So it's just, every moment he is leveraging for Yahweh. He is leveraging for God.
Daniel actually says to the king, the king says to Daniel, that was the dream. You are the greatest of king. The God of heaven has given you sovereignty, power, and strength and honor. He has made you ruler over all the inhabited world. He's even put the wild animals and birds under your feet. You are the head of gold. When Daniel is explaining the entire dream to him, then Nebuchadnezzar throws himself down before Daniel, and he actually worships Daniel.
Yeah.
So it's this moment that you're talking about where Daniel has a choice to make. He's like, am I going to give glory to God because I have succeeded?
Yeah.
I have done the impossible.
Yep. Nobody could ever do that. I'm the wisest guy in the kingdom.
Absolutely.
Right now.
And whenever his moment of truth, his moment of testing comes to him, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, throws himself down in worship before Daniel. The king says to Daniel, truly your God is the greatest of God, the Lord over kings, a revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal this secret. And then Daniel is appointed to a high position. He's given many valuable gifts. And at Daniel's request, the king appoints, all that Daniel asks is, at Daniel's request, he says, will you appoint Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be in charge of all the affairs of the province of Babylon while Daniel remains in the king's court?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an amazing thing. So Daniel now continues to have the ear of Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes.
And then his three buddies now are elevated to where they're the boots on the ground throughout the kingdom with these super high elevated positions of influence. So he stays there to influence Nebuchadnezzar. The rest go throughout the kingdom to influence the rest of the kingdom for God by their integrity and by the skills that God has given them, and by God specially gifted these guys to be able to do these things for the purpose, you can't forget, for the purpose of God being glorified, not for the purpose of elevating themselves.
Yep. And then their moment of testing comes.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever the king is getting everyone together, when the trumpet sounds, everyone has to bow down and worship to this huge statue that's made of Nebuchadnezzar. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego choose not to bow down. The king hears about it. He says, hey, let me give you a second chance, boys, and plays the trumpets again for them to bow down, which is very gracious of him to even, it shows the influence that they had.
It is. I think it's gracious, and I think it's smart awareness of the situation. I'm about to toast three guys who are really important, benefiting me greatly at this moment.
But can I read to you from Daniel 3 the response of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they will not bow down?
One of my favorite verses.
When they will not bow down, he says, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue that you have set up."
Yeah.
Absolutely powerful.
Like, how do you you can't overestimate that. Like, and I guess part of the application for today would be that, like, how are you when God doesn't come through the way that you think he should? Because, come on, let's get real. Like, we all live lives that have difficult periods, times when things don't go well. We have people in our lives that pass away. We have difficult situations. And the answer isn't always what we want it to be. Yes. And it's just serious faith to say, like, we're standing in front of this furnace heated 7 times over.
Yep.
It's torching people who are just being near it, trying to throw us into it. It's a reality in our lives. We know what God can do. God can do anything. But if he doesn't, that doesn't mean he's not worthy of worship.
Yep.
And I'm going to still keep going. I'm going to still keep
what
worshiping
you see to be the obvious, that we aren't, in your eyes, rescued by our God, we still worship our God.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he is worthy of worship. He is the only true God. Yeah. Whether he rescues us or not.
Yeah. And that moment was all about worship, because the scripture says that the purpose of the gold statue of Nebuchadnezzar was Nebuchadnezzar put himself in a place to be worshipped.
Yes, absolutely. So then Nebuchadnezzar flies into a rage, has them thrown into the fire, as you mentioned, heated 7 times hotter, and then Nebuchadnezzar jumps up in amazement and exclaims to his advisors, "Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the furnace?" "Yes, your majesty, we certainly did." "Look," Nebuchadnezzar shouted, "I see 4 men unbound, walking around in the fire, unharmed, and the 4th looks like God."
Yeah, and I love, you know what, relating it to Sunday morning, there's an elevation song we started doing about a month ago.
Another in the fire.
Not even that one.
Oh, not that one. Oh.
We started it about a month ago, where Chris Brown, the worship leader, says, "You've been my 4th man in the fire so many times." And trusting God.
I trust
His name
God.
As well as the quintessential one is another in the fire, where the whole bridge is, even if he doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just wonderful.
So then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego step out of the fire and saw that the fire had not touched them, not a hair on their heads was singed, and their clothing was not scorched, and they didn't even smell of smoke.
Yeah.
That just like
it's impossible
icing on the cake.
God.
You're just going, wow, God. Just. And part of us goes, man, if you did that for them, what will you do for us now? And God is capable of doing it for us now. Yeah. But we have to realize He's sovereign. And Absolutely. He is acting in the affairs as He deems fit in His sovereignty, wisdom, and knowledge. And we have to trust what comes from His hand.
And the result was the glory of God in that process. That verse is not a promise.
Yes, this is the truth.
All things at all times. You know what? I got to say for a second, though, as we go on from that, we switch back to Jeremiah, and we switch back to Judah's persistent idolatry. And I love this way that Scripture frames things. Most of all, it says, I'm the one that they're hurting, ? Asks the Lord. Most of all, they're hurting themselves. Whenever we make anything an idol, whenever we put anything in the place of God, it's egregious to God. Yeah, it is. But you're going to end up hurting yourself because whatever that thing, person, relationship that you put in the place of God, it is never going to fulfill your deepest longings. And you're going to end up, you're just hurting yourself. God is the source of everything good in your life, of every ultimate thing.
Absolutely. And as that source, we should boast in Him. Jeremiah 9:23-24 says this: don't let the wise boast in their wisdom, or the powerful boast in their power, or the rich boast in their riches. But those who wish to boast should boast in this alone, that they truly know me and understand that I am the Lord, who demonstrates unfailing love and who brings justice and righteousness to the earth, and that I delight in these things.
Absolutely.
I, the Lord, have spoken.
Yeah.
And it just gets our attention and says, will you focus your things on what's in power, not what's important, not on the wise boasting in wisdom, powerful boasting in power, rich boasting in riches, which will distract us so often and lead us astray, but to truly boast in what matters. And it matters to boast in the Lord, His unfailing love and His righteousness.
Yeah. So as we end today, the very last part of what we're talking about is hope. Is hope for the nation of Judah. And I love this, but it's a real hope. It's not a false hope. It's not a hope that's built on false assumptions. You know, you've heard a lot of times, half of the verse that I'm going to tell you, you've heard that God knows the plans that He has for you, plans for good, and not for your discomfort is what it says in, or disaster is what it says in New Living, but plans, hope to prosper you and give you hope in a future. And it is absolutely true that no matter when, remember that verse was said to them right before He told them, you're going to be in Babylon for 70 years.
Sure.
Settle down, have kids, get married, and work for the benefit of Babylon, because you're going to be here for 70 years.
Because of their disobedience, because of their sin, and God's judging that.
And in that same breath, He says, but I'm coming for you, and I have a hope for you. Can I just tell you that Jesus Christ is the only place in the world that you are going to find that it is never too late for hope. No matter where you find yourself, that He is waiting to give you a hope that the world cannot take away. So, hey, I hope that you have that living hope, or as we're reading through this year, that you are getting closer to seeing and trusting the fact that God is your hope. So have a great week, and we will see you on Sunday.